turn square right. Absolute 600.
Maybe the end of term for the STP Tarmac Championship, but the entry for the Carling Rally of the Lakes is a staggering 120 crews who will shatter Killarney's silence over the next 2 days. At the front, Austin McHale in the Shell Manta 400 has already clinched the title, but he is still hungry for a win this year and his first victory on the Lakes.
Well, the pressure really wasn't on us coming to this event. It didn't matter really because we were 13 points ahead. We could afford to finish 9th. The only danger obviously would be that we wouldn't finish. Something mechanic might happen to the car or something like that. But you know, the pressure really is off us now. We just go and try and win the event.
Donegal man James Cullen and his co-driver Ellen Morgan are the chief opposition. James drives the Nissan 240, a car he likes a lot.
Yes, I'm very, very pleased with the car this year. The first event we really had a real go on it was in the Mula in Britain, and we're very pleased with that, and we'll have to see what happens here. Hopefully we'll go one better than Donegal maybe.
Supercars like the Metro 6R4 will be banned next year, so why had DESSIE McCartney purchased one for seemingly just one event?
Next year we have a possibility of using it in some of the local events up north. There's a possibility of using it in England. We don't know what way it's really going to finally end up in the south, but hopefully maybe they'll change their mind, because after all it's only a four-wheel drive car at the end of the day, and there's going to be other four-wheel drive cars out, even though they're homologated as such. It would be interesting to have it out even in national rallies.
For Limerick driver Ken Lyons, things got off to an extremely bad start. The RS 1800 is stuck on the ramp and they will have to change the exhaust before the first stage. The crowds wait for McHale at Moll's Gap, one of the greatest rally stages in the world. We're with the champion in the Shell Manta for this classic stage.
And meet him left. 70. Left fast right. 70. Easy right. Easy left. 10. 100. Absolute left. 100.
McHale is quick and so is Cullen. Quicker, in fact, than number 2 seed Frank Meagher, who he has passed by the summit. Over this sensational piece of Ireland, Cullen has been only 2 seconds slower than the champion. The challenge is on. Ken Lyons is now making up for his bad start. And Pat Kirk is as spectacular as ever. Jerry McVeigh on stage 2 has moved up to Lotus Power in his Sunbeam. Balak Bima, another classic, and very, very fast, as once again we join Austin McHale and Christy Farrell in the back of the Dealer Opel Team Ireland Manta.
130. And turn open 90 left. Perfect.
James Cullen is inspired. His Moll's Gap time has made him realise that victory is far from impossible. Frank Meagher, a notoriously slow starter, is beginning to settle in. McCartney's times are not yet outstanding as he learns to deal with his new car. And AJ Keating pleased to get over Moll's Gap as he crashed there last year. But now let us give you another new rally view. as we perch a lightweight camera on the bonnet of Eddie Colton's Carriage Computers Peugeot. Burton-on-Trent driver Mervyn Coxon has brought his standard engine Porsche to Killarney, but the Group A cars like Richard Hall's Sunbeam are causing him some embarrassment. Mark Grandon's Fiat Abarth is not having its normal success, as we are about to dramatically witness from the pictures of one of his Group A rivals, Ed Colton. Now let's deal with that Porsche. There'll soon be a glorious moment for all Peugeot owners. A tight fit if ever there was one. Stage 3, Carra Lake. And Cullen almost overdoes it. This unfortunately will be Ken Land's last stage, as he is about to retire with oil pressure problems. It's very nearly also Dan Daly's last stage, who catches Ken. And so on to Lake Carra, only for the fast and the brave. Under the shadow of the McGillicuddy Reeks, the pace is frightening.
Slight left, and slight left. 200. Slight right, 150.
John Moynihan was second last year, but sadly he is about to retire with engine problems. By the end of the first Saturday loop, McHale has a 17-second advantage over Cullen. Bill Connolly is third, but can he catch them?
I don't know, but they're going very, very quickly, and maybe they'll have problems. We'd like to just hold where we are now for the moment, because there's some very, very fast men behind us too.
Attention like never before is on the Peugeot dealer team of Ed Colton and Frank Scanlon. The memories of the Cork accident still linger on, but this weekend Ed's main problem is that he's a little camera shy.
It's often to have that thing staring you in the eye there for the last two stages, a lot of very, very slippy mud on the stage with leaves and things, and this thing looking at you at the same time, it's a bit off-putting, but we'll learn to come to grips with the thing as the day goes on.
Dubliner Mike Barrable starts the second loop in a very creditable fourth place. Englishman Phil Collins has the Cosworth Sierra up to fifth. And Pat Kirk's enjoyable antics are paying off as the Strabane man now lies sixth. Frank Fennell in the dealer over Team Ireland cadet blasts into the darkness in the Group A lead. As the night descends, there are still 4 stages to go in day 1. And once again, we join the Manta on Lake Carra.
Left over crest. 100, sharp right over bridge. Sharp left. 70. Slight right. Easy left. Easy right. Slight left. Push, slight right over crest.
Well, we're halfway through the Carrignavar Rally of the Lakes, and the situation as the cars come into Parc Fermé at the end of day 1 is that Austin McHale is in the lead. Austin, you're leading the rally, but it's very tight at the top.
Yeah, I think there's actually only 12 seconds as Jimmy's going very well, or James Cullen.
If we can narrow that gap a wee bit more tomorrow, maybe and go past him, would be more pleased.
Yeah, I have to admit that he is going very well, and you know, we're not going overboard, we're being cautious. We had a bit of a problem on the last stage. Bonnet pin came out, and Bonnet was waiting for it to fly over the roof at any stage. It slowed us up slightly, but you know, we're happy enough where we're laying at the minute.
And no problems with the car today?
No, just a slight problem getting it stopped now and again, just we're working on that at the minute. If we get that cured, it'll help the cause a wee bit, I think.
The torque waterfall in full spate after heavy overnight rain, and as the drivers prepare for the second day's action, more showers are forecast. But before going out on the Kerry roads again, there's an opportunity for service crews to iron out the mechanical problems. It's going to be a long and demanding day for all the competitors and their cars, so expert preparation is vital. The skill of the backup teams can make the difference between winning and losing, and making the right tyre choice will also be critical, especially for the rally leader.
Well, this morning tyres, I think, is really going to play a major part in the rally, because it was raining an awful lot last night, and it's very important to make the right choice. So we're hoping, we're opting for slicks with a wet patch of foot in them. So we'll see what the first stage is like anyway. We're afraid of floods with the rain last night. You know, you just come around a corner or something, and then you've got this river of water and you off through the hedge. So running first car on the road, obviously it's more likely that we find the bad spots than anybody else.
Harsh, very fast right.
Despite the conditions on Moll's Gap, on the third time round, McHale is only 6 seconds slower than the all-time record.
Right left over jump 100.
James Cullen is trying hard, but even he can make no impression on McHale's lead. There's a great battle for third place, currently held by Bill Connolly. Frank Meaghers Escort is hot on his heels. Even the best run rallies have a few reckless spectators, as Englishman Keith Edwards discovers in his Jaguar. Despite the mist and the rain, the beauty of the Killarney Lakes is staggering. But for the men behind the wheel, there's no time to admire the view. Englishman Phil Collins lies 5th in his Sierra. DESSIE McCARTNEY's Metro is 8th. Belfast man Dan Daly wrecked his car in Killarney last year. This time he's lying 11th, but his rally is about to end in even more spectacular fashion. Daly is followed along the road by Ed Colton and Frank Scanlon.
20. Long, easy right over bump. Behind the bump. Easy right.
And the camera mounted on the front of their Peugeot 205 is about to capture some dramatic footage of the first moments after Daly's high-speed crash on stage 11.
He came around and he hit the bridge back there and turned once and then skidded along on his side and against the ditch here. Then the car driver came out straight away and there were other people nearer than me. So he came out with a car, then it was S in the car, and he stopped the cars coming up then. But the first car stopped fairly quick, but the second car, it was difficult for it to stop.
And Dan Daly was still in the car at this
stage?
He was,
yeah.
Was he trapped?
He was trapped in the car then, and there was petrol all over the road. It was very frightening, if anyone was standing there like that, he'd been killed.
Although co-driver Bernard Smith was able to scramble free from the wrecked Nissan, Dan Daly's leg was trapped, and it was some time before the emergency services were able to free him. He was taken to hospital with a suspected broken ankle, but was later able to travel back to Belfast. That stage was cancelled, but back with the action on stage 12, and Austin McHale's main problem is with his demister.
Long medium left. Absolute 350. Bridge medium left. 300, mind the potholes.
Back on board the Peugeot again. Colton and Scanlon are pushing towards the top 10 in spite of the Kerry roads, and they're rapidly catching John Price in the red Renault 5 Turbo.
Keep right, watch the water. Pulling over. 200. Long, fast right.
By 2/3 distance, McHale has pulled out a gap of 37 seconds. All eyes are now on the three-way battle for third place, and no wonder. Fortunately for Bill Connolly, there is no damage, but Meagher and Collins are now that much closer. Another to improve dramatically during the day is Mike Patterson, now in 6th place. For the Group A leader, Frank Fennell, the big threat is Richard Hall Sunbeam, never that far behind. Seamus Murphy in the Opel Corsa is another Group A class leader. Then come the Monaghan brothers and local experts like Jimmy White. Among the Group N or standard cars, David Wright is as always dominant, and Louise Nolan in the Wilkinson Sword Escort RS Turbo leads the ladies and is in 3rd place in Group M, a performance enjoyed by experts of all ages. We have been on the high-speed road now for 5 hours, and concentration must never fail, especially when it's wet.
Slight right 70, slight left and right over crest 100. Slight right 100. Absolute left 100. Slight left 150. Slight left 100. Third crest 100. Very fast left tightens.
And back on the Peugeot, lessons have been learned from Dan Daly's accident, the last time through this stage.
20 easy left uphill. 20 medium right into easy left over crest. 200. Can you hear me now?
James Cullen, a little bit of damage at the back of the car. How did that happen?
There was a garden again through a part. It was quite narrow, but and with the left-hand drive car, I'm not just completely at home with it yet, and I keep sometimes putting the passenger side wheel caught the grass, and it was about 4th gear corner.
You were going fairly fast at the time.
We were trying right hard now at the time, all right.
The axle was very noisy. Then we've just changed it now in about 20 minutes, and we're just going into the out control now. I think there's a regrouping now, so we've got to move fairly quickly.
Well, I'm driving a front-wheel drive car with turbocharge, and I find I need the support in my wrists. You know, although I do, you know, exercise for the shoulders, with the wrists I need that extra support, and it helps me drive a bit faster, I hope.
Yeah, we had a fairly good lead yesterday. We reckoned that, well, Billy Daly, the opposition, was probably going to come from him, and we thought we'd pull out a fair lead while he was getting used to the car. So it seems to have worked all right, and we're trying to hold it today, just a steady run.
Gordon again stage, and Cullen certainly hasn't given up the chase. The 3rd place battle continues. But Richard Hall is in big bother with a front wheel puncture. Frank Hogan pulls over to let the flying Group N leader through.
Special stage 17, near the end of a grueling day, but McHale and Farrell are still showing great form. 2nd placed Cullen has opened up a big gap over the rest of the field. Frank Meagher's fighting performance has helped to raise the memory of last year's event when he went out on the 2nd stage. Bill Connolly gave up a holiday in the sun to compete in Killarney, and it looks as though he made the right choice. Phil Collins said he was only here for experience in the Sierra, but he's well up the leaderboard. Formula Ford racing driver Michael Barrable has successfully made the transition to rallying and lies 6th.
70.
As darkness falls, the leaders tackle Moll's Gap for the 4th and final time. It's the last stage of the event, and it's no time to make a mistake.
Turn fast wide right. 120. Very fast left tight. 100.
So in a blaze of glory, the Tarmac Champion reaches the final control point and becomes champion of the Killarney Lakes as well. So the season ends on a high point with a safe and successful Carling Rally of the Lakes. The marvellous second place, you must be delighted with that.
Oh, really delighted with everyone, with the car and everyone, service crew. Everything's been really tremendous weekend for us.
Austin McHale was paying you great compliments there, saying you really kept him under pressure the whole weekend.
Yes, well, it means an awful lot when it comes from someone like Austin as good as him. I think it helps the Nissan, and hopefully maybe they'll give me a car to do the championship next year now.
Right to the end, third place is uncertain between Frank Meagher and Bill Connolly. Both had problems on the final stage. Bill explains his predicament.
Well, on the last stage there, we had no spotlights, which was no real problem until we came to the trees at the bottom of the gap, and we really couldn't see anything. So Frank had no brakes and we had no lights. So
That's not a bad combination. Frank, what does he mean you had no brakes?
On the second last stage, a half mile into it, brake pedal went to the floor. We dropped 13 seconds, bust the brake pipe, and we had a soft pedal coming down Miles Gap, and it was very, very hairy.
Must have been a bit worrying.
Well, we had all the brakes to the front and it was very wet, and we should have had them to the back.
So Austin McHale wins his first international of the season, and that tremendous drive by James Cullen leaves him second. Bill Connolly and Frank Meagher fought it out all the way for third and fourth. English visitor Phil Collins has twice been second in Killarney. This time he settles for fifth. The Opel Manta of Dubliner Michael Barrable is at number 6, while Ballymena's DESSIE McCartney finishes 7th in his first drive in the Metro 6R4. And 3 Group A cars made it into the top 10. Frank Fennell's Opel Kadett is 8th. Richard Hall's distinctive yellow Sunbeam was 9th. And Ed Colton is 10th, in spite of the distractions of a television camera on his front wing.